Now, throughout the time me and you have been holding AMC and GameStop, there have been several glitches across different brokers and different data reporting platforms, except this time, it is not a glitch. Yo, what is going on, guys? Lottery Stocks here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the channel if you're new. Here's how today's video is going to go. So we have a ton of news to go over, talking about Fed numbers, banks, what it's going to mean to AMC, and then we have to touch on GameStop, some numbers that came out, and then news on some war before we get into the AMC and GameStop charts, and that is how the video layout will go. So stick around to the end. All I ask you to do is hit that subscribe button because 70% of you guys watching aren't subscribed, and I don't know why, because you guys keep coming back to my videos. I see it in the analytics, so please just subscribe and hit that like. Let's get into it. So Joe Biden tweeted this: "For months, doomsayers have been arguing that the US economy is in a recession, and congressional Republicans have been rooting for a downturn. But with today's third quarter GDP report, we got further evidence that our economic recovery is continuing to power forward." That is right, guys. The GDP report came out today. US economy returned to growth in third quarter. GDP increased 0.6% after 2 quarters of decline, but key components continue to show an economic slowdown. One side says one thing, one side says another. However, I don't really buy these numbers, as about 40%, I believe, of the GDP is reported through the housing market, and that takes longer to actually hit. Here's two things that we're not going to show on the screen today, right? We're not going to show the housing market declines, and we're also not going to talk about Meta. Meta just absolutely shit the bed, but that is for another video. As for the GDP numbers and Joe Biden tweeting out, in my opinion, the GDP being able to be revised 2 times, I think personally Democrats are getting ready and trying to look better for the re-election. That is my opinion. What are your thoughts down in the comments below? Also, just across the board, it's been fishy, not even with the US, but when China delayed their GDP announcement and then it came out positive. Okay, so let's touch on the banks and then a little bit of AMC. Breaking: European Central Bank raises rates by 0.75 basis point hike. Why am I bringing this up? Well, Canada recently raised rates by 0.5%, even though people were expecting 0.75%. Canada is pretty much saying, yo, we're going too fast. Inflation's not this bad. It's coming down, this, that, and the third. We're looking good. However, European central banks continue to raise it by 0.75, and in my opinion, that is what the Fed will do on November 2nd. Let's throw some AMC news into the mix. So IMAX and AMC Cinemas expand partnership with agreement for 6 new IMAX locations in Saudi Arabia. Beautiful. The more revenue and the more expansion AMC can get as a theater, the more they will clear debt and eliminate a short thesis. Let's move on. I thought this was pretty interesting, and I'm going to put this before the Credit Suisse news. Shout out to Peepan Sammy. August 4th, AMC announces special dividend. August 22nd, APE begins trading. September 26th, AMC announces APE offering via Citi and 40-day quiet period begins. October 25th, Citi agreed to AMC's terms and informed AMC how many of the 423 million shares they want for themselves. November 4, 40-day quiet period expires. Friday, November 8th, AMC earnings and Disney as well. Let's just say AMC/Disney reach a partnership and Disney agrees to repurchase 100 million APE at a $10 private offering. AMC takes home 975 million and Citi gets 26 million. November 9th and beyond, APE price caps up to 10 and what Disney paid, and this gets the momentum going. Citi likely has covered in a private deal, adding extra momentum. Other shorts panic, chase, FOMO, YOLO kicks in, APE runs. What value does Disney get for 1 billion? Disney and AMC go hand in hand, surely some great value for each. More knowledgeable movie/Disney followers than me can suggest what. AMC pays off 1 billion debt early, 30% discount, and uses the other 275 million to acquire some Cineworld locations and other. Beyond AMC, able to sell shares and wipe out debt, stocks run. Disney will be restricted, must hold, wants to hold. Since a partner, we get our short squeeze. It may not be Disney, but if it is, this could easily happen, and Disney, a 15% owner of APE, a seat on AMC BOD. Adding one more, Disney could even become involved for a lot more shares or at a higher price, and both companies benefit. Now, this could just be a bunch of hopium leading up to the earnings call. However, I am extremely excited for the earnings call, as there was this whole quiet period thing, the APE dividend, and it's going to be the first time, in my opinion, since APE was listed on the NYSE, that Adam Aron will actually address us legitimately, and hopefully something will happen on that end, which is going to correlate to the chart, but we'll get into that later. Credit Suisse says sell AMC, and they predict stock is headed to 95 cents. You know what? Let's just tear them apart. Credit Suisse just posted $4 billion in Q3 net losses and short positions from their defaulted borrower Archegos. This is hilarious. Let's Let's touch on this a little bit more. Credit Suisse plans to raise $4 billion and reduce its headcount by 9,000. So let me get this straight, right? Credit Suisse comes out, lies about them being all set, they're strong, they're sturdy. They lose $4 billion, they shit their pants, and now they fire 9,000 people to raise that $4 billion again. How close are you to getting margin called? This is just hilarious. And CNBC, you're just trash for posting this. Dutch bank dealmakers suffer worst quarter since Lehman. The lender blamed the investment banking performance in part on markdowns in its leveraged debt business during the quarter. And only 80 new hedge funds were launched in the second quarter of 2022, the lowest launch rate since the fourth quarter of 2008, when only 56 new funds were debuted, according to a report by hedge fund research firm HFR. Compared to the first quarter of 2022, new hedge fund launches dropped by 56.7%. And I agree with AMC Bigums on this. They don't want to fuck with the apes. But not only that, let's take a look at what is being implemented behind the scenes that could affect hedge funds, pension funds, and people to invest with them. The bedrock of our retirement plan is the 401k. Usually the 401k contains a boring mix of pre-approved mutual funds and ETFs that are very safe, but Congress has just done the unthinkable with the introduction of new act that allows riskier assets into the 401k. That is right, I'm not going to read through this entire thing, but a bill is about to be passed or just was passed that are going to allow riskier assets in the 401k. Do you guys think it's a good idea to mix alternative assets with retirement options? Let me know down below. I know none of you probably even use hedge funds, but some of you do have 401ks, so let me know how this affects you. Now, I almost thought this was another glitch or this was fake. 43 million shares borrowed today on GameStop until... Real quick, a huge thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Moomoo. This is going to take 5 seconds. However, I just got a new promotion from Moomoo that when you sign up and deposit even $1, you're getting a $10 cash coupon, which you can buy AMC with, or any stock you want, not financial advice. On top of that, you're getting 15 free stocks valued up to $2,000 a stock. A lot of people don't actually have this in their Moomoo links, and Moomoo just gave it to me for you guys, so make sure to do that. The link is pinned in the top of comments. Don't waste any time. Do it right now and come back to the video if you have to. Okay, so 43 million shares available to borrow on GameStop. I almost thought this was a joke, so I went over to Fidelity and I scrolled down to the short interest section on GameStop, and the days to cover are showing 14.35 days. Now, the days to cover is a metric. The short interest divided by the average daily volume, yada, 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 and essentially, if every short position amongst GameStop decided, let's cover right now, for all of them to get out, if they all decided at one time the exact same second, it would take 14.5 days for them to get out of GameStop. This would be almost 15 days of constant buying pressure, a huge straight up arrow of just blasting, a domino effect. FOMO and Gamma would be just amplifying it by 10x, 20x, 100x. So I don't know what happened overnight. All I do know is that about 57% or so of GameStop's free float is DRS'd, and this just came out to me, and it's in front of me, and this is just nuts. If you own GameStop as well as AMC, drop an ape down below because I want to know how many of you have GameStop with your AMC. Speaking of GameStop, just in, FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried says the exchange is developing its own stablecoin. FTX is partnered with GameStop, in case you guys didn't know. Breaking news, the Chinese yuan has moved ahead of the Australian, Canadian, and Swiss currencies to become the 5th most traded currency in the world. Now let's touch on war. So Putin says Taiwan is a part of China, and Putin also said, why did the quote-unquote grandma Nancy Pelosi from US visit Taiwan to provoke China? It makes no sense in his mind. China's president has said China is willing to collaborate with the US to find a way to get along and benefit each other. Putin says Russia has never discussed the use of nuclear weapons. However, the Pentagon won't dismiss the use of nuclear weapons against non-nuclear threats. So Putin has said we've never talked about this, but the Pentagon is saying that doesn't mean we're going to disregard the possibility of nuclear weapons. Putin says Russia will never put up with what the West tells it to do, and that the West is playing a dangerous and bloody game. What are you guys' thoughts on the wars down below? Because I think something fishy is going on between China, Taiwan, and they're bringing the U.S. into it, and then Putin's just in the sidelines as the aggressor. Like, what are your thoughts down below? Now, we're going to touch on one thing before we get into the chart. If you haven't yet, hit the like and share the video. Let's go. I wanted to look at these short exempts on AMC. So the 25th and the 26th. This is interesting because we talked about the last 2 days the cycle was going to kick in where the algos were pressing buy orders through, and we were supposed to see a major pop. Now, short exempts are stacked on to suppress that, right? Because if it did start to pop, more people will buy in, more people will FOMO in, and more people will just up the gamma ramp, right? You look at the call option chain, 91,000 calls expiring out of the money, plus the 16 that are in the money, right? This would be detrimental to hedge funds, especially with where the market is at and the liquidity crisis all around, right? And then what's interesting is you see this 43 million borrowed against GameStop at the same time when GameStop is now about to have its cycle period. But what's interesting is it's not just a regular cycle, right? We talked about AMC. There was 3 cycles, the push up to 70, the 3 cycles, and now we're at that time frame again. So it is a major point of interest, and it's just interesting that they're trying to stump the momentum early. Let's get into the charts. So I want to show you guys something interesting. Back in January, when we ran to around 20 bucks on AMC, this is the bars pattern, right? So I just copied this. I'm going to drag it over because this is what we've been tracking. However, I'm also going to bring the bars pattern right here that we had before the run up to $70, right? Let's take these and let's go over. Now here is exactly what you have. Both of these are at the beginning of the white cycles, and that is exactly why I copy and pasted them and dragged them over. This is the first one overlaid on AMC, the 2021 run up, and essentially something that you would see, right? With that being said, AMC would run around the last days of October going into November. However, at a larger scale, right? Larger scale, this would line up with the beginning more, and you would see something like this. And again, this was before the major move to 70. Let's take a look at the January one, right? And let's just hope that I don't have these backwards. Now, again, it looks like it's pretty accurate. Well, let's expand this and make sure, right? How accurate does this look to you guys, okay? This looks pretty accurate to me, except the middle of the cycle looks like it's shrunk. Of course, because of these short exempts they're stacking on, they're suppressing the price. However, this is something that we were supposed to be seeing. And in my opinion, Friday, maybe not Friday because the market makers like to pin the price, but next week, you still should see a nice pop. I know I've been calling this out and we're up a decent percent gain on the week, but I still think that we're there and we're ready for the pop on AMC. Now to touch on GameStop as well, this could play out inverse, and if it does, you're probably going to drop back to this trend line at $17.55. However, I don't think we're going there. We haven't seen those numbers yet, and I personally don't think that's going to happen. If it doesn't play out inverse, this is something you're looking at on GameStop, right? You see it matches, but not to the degree as they're keeping the price in the same channel and ultimately just bringing it down day by day. However, GameStop should see the same exact pop as AMC come next week. And GameStop just came out with this, 14 days to cover ratio, which is absolutely nuts. But hopefully you guys taken something out of value from this video, or at least enjoyed watching. I don't want to extend it too long. Make sure to get your $10 cash coupon and 15 free stocks down below by hitting the link pinned in the top of comments, downloading Moomoo, signing up, which takes 2 minutes, depositing $1. Free money, make sure to go do that. Share the video, like the video, subscribe, turn post notifications on. I love you all. Lottery Stocks out.